Expo, miniskirts, Koufax, Kennedy, Gagarin, Pope John, John Glenn, Graham, the Beatles, Peace Corps, Clay, Bleiberg, Pope Paul, The Wall, Kosygin, Johnson, Warhol, Streisand, Dope, Black Power, Goldwater, Hippie, Dion, Woodstock, The Pill, James Bond, Tiny Tim, King, Hair, Rand, Bobby, Wallace, Golda Meir, Ecology, The Supremes, Apollo, DeBakey, Pompidou, Psychedelic, Dubček, Wyatt, Joe Namath, Malcolm X, Armstrong, Indira Gandhi, Demonstrations, Lem. But no name, no single word repeated itself as often on the pages of the 1960s and Vietnam. It was a strange mixture of peace and war, a battlefield nowhere and a battlefield everywhere. Life during the day, death at night, an ally at one moment, an enemy the next. Dust of barbed wire. It was all of this. Those who wanted to find the war might have had to hunt for it. Those who didn't want to find the war often became the hunted. And around the world, and particularly the United States of America, there was another battle, a battle of words, of politics and debate. The question was, who was the hunter in Vietnam and who was the hunted? Who would define aggressor and defender? And there was the larger search for a definition of the word peace. Did peace mean only the absence of war, or the absence of war and fear and oppression? This film is a story of the 1960s in two parts. The story of both conflicts, of war and debate. In the 1960s, many Americans did not believe the United States should help South Vietnam, and dissent and demonstrations became, to some, a way of life. But in the beginning of the 1960s, the threat and the prophecy were clear.
I think we faced an extremely serious and intensified struggle with the communists, whom we've talked about and read stories of 7,000 to 15,000 guerrillas operating in Vietnam, killing 2,000 civil officers a year, 2,000 police officers a year, 4,000. Now, there's been an election in Vietnam in which 75% of the people, or 80%, to endorse the government. And yet we read how Vietnam is in danger because of guerrilla operations carried on by this small, well-disciplined, well-supplied across the border group of guerrillas. How we fight that kind of a problem, which is going to be with us all through this decade, seems to me to be one of the great problems now before the United States.
Both the threat and the prophecy were made to a land of many gods. Hardship, poverty, disease, and war had never eroded the faith of the South Vietnamese, their faith in something much higher and larger than themselves. That faith's name to some was Buddha. His name to some was Jesus. His name to some was Confucius, and Lao Tzu, and Brahma, and a myriad of names of ancestors. And in the strange and sometimes strained combinations of gods and faiths, there emerged a commonality. There was a belief that this earth was not all. There was a cause and a reason for being, a cause larger than simply sustaining life. And this force was so powerful, so true, so real, that it was the reason for life itself. The stuff of South Vietnam was neither rice nor jungle, neither the delta nor the mountains. Its heart flowed with undefined faith, and from the undefined came its strength. Too easily, a stranger would say, he's a Buddhist, he's a Catholic, he's a Taoist. But the religions were countless and overlapping. The oldest form of Christianity in Vietnam was Roman Catholicism. In Vietnam, hundreds of thousands more Catholics came to the south where the practice of religion was still free. The country was as mixed as its gods and faiths. The urban lives of Saigon, Hue, Dalat, and Da Nang, Nha Trang, and Vung Tau were full of cluttered patterns. Students and merchants and lovers and shoppers met in the splendor of an Asian disorder. Most of the populace paid no heed to the clamor of the cities and the sounds of horns and hawkers. 90% lived in the uncluttered fields, where they found in the land an uncommon contentment and an orchestration of their life and religion, of their earth and sky, of their work and love.